So the mental and emotional body, when they are separate, keep us in a denser frequency state, meaning the matter that forms around that level of consciousness is more dense. It vibrates more slowly. And it is a polarized thing. So it goes from mental to emotional to mental to emotional. So it's a loop. And the particles vibrate more slowly, which creates the sense of density. This is why people can have spontaneous healings. Spontaneous healings are something that we experienced within we selves along the journey also. And many people experience spontaneous healings. And how does that occur? It occurs because there is a miracle coordinate when the consciousness attains zero. It zeroizes and neutralizes, or all of the polarities collapse in. That's why an epiphany can change everything. Because the epiphany moment is the miracle that the polarities stop and new insight is gained, and that new insight floods the body, floods the DNA. So it's kind of like if we are if we are flooding a system with water, or let's say that, we are filling a balloon up. Let's say we're filling the balloon up with water. It's better than air. It gives a better visual. So when we fill a balloon up with water, we may fill it up somewhat and then stop and just let the water settle, and then flood it with more water. And that sort of stop-start is just like the journey that we've come from, that stop-start. Epiphanies occur in that moment when the water stops filling and everything stills inside of the balloon. That's like the epiphany moment, and then the balloon can receive more water from there. And so that's exactly the same with the flooding of the body with light. And so mental and emotional bodies separate keep us in a loop. And that is just when we apply the wonderful tools that we have of ascension, of doing crossovers, crossing the ankles, crossing the wrists, closing the eyes, clasping the hands, deep breathing, or the butterfly tap that we've shared before, crossing the arms across the chest, tapping the hands on the arms alternately back and forth. Could be going for a walk or a bicycle ride. Anything that gets both sides of the body working alternately meaning one foot goes forward, then the other foot goes forward, back and forth. And this creates a rhythm that then sets up an equilibrium inside the brain and brings us into a whole brain state, which is why sports and activity help a lot when we feel too emotional or too mental. And this helps, moving both sides of the body, helps us to regain that equilibrium state. Yoga, breath work, lots of crossovers in yogic postures while focusing on the breath. And in an active, busy world, for many, yoga posture and focusing on the breath is just too much of a contrast from the busyness of a 3D world to even establish that sense of inner peace, which is why sports and activities can be a more effective way of finding that stability, that equilibrium, that 0 point. You know, when people say like being in the zone, lots of athletes are in the zone, so they're not sitting still doing a yogic posture and breathing. They're very fully active and they are in the zone. So there's many ways to achieve this state. So we are sharing this from a place as observer to impart these gifts upon the selves for observation, becoming our own best observer inside of the self. And to always accept the process and love the process and have compassion in the process, because there are much more benevolent states to experience within us, and these are just suggestions and invitations for finding the fulcrum. And what occurs inside of the we as the light body is coming in is a vast spaciousness and expanse that is felt within the self, and all worry and all anxiety and obstacles fall away. You could say it is the state of being beyond believing in a miracle and actually existing in the miracle. And recognizing our capacity, our full capacity to create everything and anything that is of our highest expression of love and playfulness and celebration. And we are sharing this transmission from above the field of density, above the field of 3D. So one might find that they revisit this transmission over and over, because it is the energy in the space between the words that is actually being transmitted in the transmission. So it's like offering a shortcut path to the listener to stabilize this field within the self. This transmission is coming from the place of the solar logos, the place of the light body in the form. And so there is a lot going on here. that we may be experiencing as we are tuning in our form, while listening, while receiving, while aligning. We are like tuning forks in our form, and we have the capacity to share the emanation of the light body in the form. So just listening to this transmission, one might find that they are feeling incredibly expansive and blissed out. And that is because this transmission is a transmission from and of the Christos light body, the solar avatar.